Maya Chun was only 12 years old when her world fell apart. She was sitting in her math class on a Tuesday morning when the principal walked in. The room went quiet as all the students looked up from their books. Maya noticed the sad look on the principal's face as she walked straight to her desk. "Maya, please come with me," the principal said softly. Maya felt her heart start beating fast. She had not done anything wrong, so why was she being called out of class? She picked up her backpack and followed the principal down the long hallway to her office. In the office, Maya saw a police officer and a woman she did not know. They both looked very serious. Maya sat down in the chair they pointed to, feeling scared and confused. The principal sat behind her desk and took a deep breath. "Maya, I have some very sad news to tell you," she began. "Your parents were in a car accident this morning. They were hurt very badly, and the doctors could not help them. I am so sorry, but your mother and father have died." Maya felt like the room was spinning. She could not understand what the principal was saying. Her parents had dropped her off at school that morning just like any other day. Her mother had kissed her forehead and told her to have a good day. Her father had waved from the car window. How could they be gone? "No," Maya whispered. "That cannot be true. They are at work. My mom works at the bank and my dad works at the office." She started crying and the tears would not stop. The woman she did not know came over and put her arms around Maya, but it did not make her feel better. The next few days were like a bad dream. Maya stayed with her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, because she had nowhere else to go. People came to the house to pick up her things. There was a funeral where many people came to say goodbye to her parents. Maya sat in the front row wearing a black dress that was too big for her. She could not stop crying. After the funeral, Victoria came to talk to Maya. Victoria was her father's second wife, but Maya had only met her a few times. Maya's real mother had died when she was very young, and her father had married Victoria when Maya was 8 years old. Victoria had 2 daughters of her own, Emma and Sophie, who were both older than Maya. "You will come and live with us now." Victoria told Maya. She did not sound happy about it. "Your father left some money for you, but it is not very much. I will take care of you, but you must understand that things will be different." Maya moved into Victoria's house the next week. It was a big house with 4 bedrooms, but Maya was given the smallest room in the basement. The room was cold and dark with only one small window. Victoria's daughters, Emma and Sophie, had beautiful rooms upstairs with big windows and nice furniture. From the first day, Victoria made it clear that Maya was not welcome. "You are not my real daughter," she would say. "I am only doing this because your father would have wanted me to. But you must earn your place in this house." Maya had to wake up every morning at 6 o'clock to make breakfast for the family. She would cook eggs and toast while Emma and Sophie got ready for school upstairs. Victoria would sit at the table and tell Maya what she was doing wrong. "The eggs are too cold," Victoria would say. "Make them again." Or, "You did not clean the kitchen properly yesterday. Do it again after school." When Maya got home from school, she had to do more work. She had to clean the bathrooms, wash the dishes, and do the laundry. Emma and Sophie never had to do any chores. They would sit in the living room watching television or talking on the phone while Maya worked. "Maya, the floor is dirty," Emma would call from the couch. "Come and clean it." Emma was 16 and acted like she was Maya's boss. Sophie was 14 and copied everything Emma did. Maya tried her best to do everything right, but Victoria was never happy. If Maya got good grades at school, Victoria would say, "School is easy. Wait until you have to work in the real world." If Maya made a mistake with the chores, Victoria would make her do extra work as punishment. The worst part was that Maya was always hungry. Victoria would make dinner for herself and her daughters, but Maya only got the leftovers. Sometimes there were no leftovers, and Maya would go to bed with an empty stomach. She learned to eat lunch slowly at school because she knew it might be her only real meal of the day. Maya missed her parents every single day. She would look at the photo of them that she kept under her pillow and remember how they used to laugh. Together, her father would help her with homework at the kitchen table. Her mother would read her stories before bed. Now she had no one to talk to and no one who cared about her. At school, Maya tried to act normal, but it was hard. Her teacher, Mrs. Johnson, noticed that Maya looked tired and sad. "Are you okay at home?" she asked one day after class. Maya wanted to tell her the truth, but she was scared. What if Victoria got angry and made things worse? "I am fine," Maya said quietly, "just missing my parents." Mrs. Johnson nodded and gave Maya a hug, but she could not do anything to help. Maya found comfort in her schoolwork. She was always good at studying, and now it was the only thing that made her feel better. When she was reading a book or solving math problems, she could forget about her sad life for a little while. She stayed after school in the library as long as she could because she did not want to go home. Victoria noticed that Maya was spending time at the library. "You think you are so smart," she said one evening, "but being smart will not help you clean my house or cook my food? You live here for free, so you must work for it." Maya learned to be quiet and stay out of Victoria's way. She did her chores without complaining and tried not to cry when Victoria was mean to her. She saved her tears for nighttime when she was alone in her cold basement room. As the months passed, Maya grew taller but thinner. Her clothes became too big for her small body. Victoria never bought her new clothes, so Maya had to wear the same old things over and over. At school, some kids started to notice that Maya always wore the same few outfits. Despite everything, Maya never gave up hope. She remembered what her father used to tell her. "You are strong and smart, Maya. You can do anything you put your mind to." She held on to those words like a treasure and promised herself that someday things would get better. Maya did not know it then. But her father's words would help her survive 6 more years in Victoria's house. She would face many more hard days, but she would never stop believing that her life could change. She would study hard, work hard, and wait for her chance to build a better future. Maya woke up on her 18th birthday to the sound of Victoria's voice calling her name. It was not a happy call like mothers give their children on special days. It was the same cold voice Maya had heard every morning for the past 6 years. "Maya, get up right now, we need to talk." Maya looked at the small clock next to her bed. It was only 6 in the morning, earlier than usual. She had hoped that maybe, just maybe, Victoria would remember it was her birthday and be a little kind to her. But as Maya walked up the stairs from her basement room, she could tell this was not going to be a good day. Victoria was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a serious look on her face. Emma and Sophie were still sleeping upstairs. Maya stood by the doorway, waiting to hear what Victoria wanted. "Sit down," Victoria said, pointing to the chair across from her. Maya sat down and folded her hands in her lap. She had learned to always look calm and quiet when Victoria was angry. "Maya, you are 18 years old today," Victoria began. "That means you are an adult now. Adults do not live in other people's houses for free. Adults take care of themselves." Maya felt her stomach drop. She had been afraid this day would come, but she had hoped Victoria would let her finish high school first. Maya only had 3 months left before graduation. "I have been taking care of you for 6 years, Victoria continued. "I have given you food and a place to sleep. I have done my duty to your father, but now that duty is finished. You need to leave my house, but I'm still in school," Maya said quietly. "I graduate in 3 months. Can I please stay until then?" Victoria's face got angry. "Do not tell me what I can and cannot do in my own house. You have been nothing but trouble since the day you came here. You eat my food, you use my water and electricity, and you give me nothing in return." Maya wanted to remind Victoria of all the work she had done. For 6 years, she had cleaned the house, cooked meals, done laundry, and taken care of everything Victoria asked her to do. But Maya knew that saying anything would only make Victoria more angry. "You have until tonight to pack your things and leave," Victoria said. "I want you out of my house before dinner." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "Where will I go?" she asked. "That is not my problem anymore," Victoria said. "You are smart, right? You always get good grades. Figure it out yourself." Victoria stood up from the table and walked away, leaving Maya sitting alone. Maya went back to her basement room and sat on her bed. She looked around at the small, cold space that had been her home for 6 years. It was not a happy place, but it was the only home she had. Maya did not have much to pack. She had 3 old shirts, 2 pairs of pants, 1 dress, some underwear, and a few books. Everything fit into the small backpack she used for school. She found the envelope where she kept the money she had saved from doing small jobs for neighbors. She counted it carefully, $57. That was all the money she had in the world. Maya also had the small photo of her parents that she kept under her pillow. She looked at their smiling faces and felt her heart break all over again. "I wish you were here," she whispered to the photo. "I do not know what to do." At school that day, Maya could not think about her classes. She kept thinking about what would happen when the sun went down. Where would she sleep? How would she eat? How would she finish school? Her teacher, Mrs. Johnson, noticed that Maya looked upset. "Maya, is everything okay?" she asked after English class. Maya wanted to tell her the truth, but she felt embarrassed. She did not want people to know that her own stepmother was throwing her out on her birthday. "I am fine," Maya said. "Just tired." When school ended, Maya walked very slowly back to Victoria's house. She hoped that maybe Victoria had changed her mind. Maybe she would let Maya stay just until graduation. But when Maya walked in the door, Victoria was waiting for her. "Get your things and go," Victoria said. "I want you out now." Maya went to her room and picked up her backpack. As she walked toward the front door, Emma and Sophie came downstairs. They looked at Maya with curious faces but did not say anything. Maya had lived in their house for 6 years, but they had never treated her like a sister. "Goodbye," Maya said quietly, but no one answered her. Maya walked out the front door and heard it close behind her. She stood on the sidewalk and looked back at the house. It had never felt like home, but now she had no home at all. Maya started walking down the street, not sure where to go. She had never been homeless before. She had never slept outside. She was scared and alone, and it was getting dark. Maya walked to the park near her school. It was a small park with some trees and benches. She sat on a bench and tried to think about what to do next. She was hungry, but she did not want to spend her money on food yet. She needed to save every dollar for important things. As the sun went down, Maya realized she would have to sleep outside. She had never been so scared in her life. She found a bench that was hidden behind some trees and lay down on it. She used her backpack as a pillow and tried to sleep, but Maya could not sleep. Every sound scared her. She heard cars driving by, dogs barking, and people talking. She was cold, hungry, and more alone than she had ever been. She cried quietly, trying not to make any noise. When the sun came up, Maya was still awake. Her back hurt from sleeping on the bench, and she was very hungry. She knew she needed to find a job and a place to live, but she did not know how to start. Maya walked to the center of town where there were shops and restaurants. She saw a sign in the window of a small restaurant that said, "Help Wanted." Maya took a deep breath and walked inside. The restaurant was called Sonny's Diner, and it was busy with people eating breakfast. Maya waited by the door until a waitress noticed her. "Can I help you?" the waitress asked. "I saw the sign about needing help," Maya said. "I am looking for a job." The waitress looked at Maya's old clothes and tired face. "Wait here," she said. "I will get the manager." A few minutes later, a middle-aged man came out from the kitchen. His name was Frank, and he owned the diner. He looked at Maya with kind eyes. "You want a job?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Maya said. "I can work hard." "I can clean, cook, or do whatever you need." "How old are you?" Frank asked. "I just turned 18 yesterday," Maya said. Frank could see that Maya needed help. "Can you start today?" he asked. "I need someone to clean tables and help in the kitchen. I can pay you $8 an hour." Maya felt so happy she almost cried. "Yes, sir. Thank you so much." Frank showed Maya how to clean tables and take orders from customers. The work was not hard, but Maya was very tired from not sleeping. She worked all day, taking only a short break to eat a small sandwich that Frank gave her when the diner closed that evening. Frank paid Maya $40 for her first day of work. It was more money than Maya had ever earned in one day. "You worked hard today," Frank said. "Can you come back tomorrow?" "Yes, sir," Maya said. "Thank you for giving me a chance." Maya left the diner feeling a little bit hopeful. She had a job, and that was the first step. Now she needed to find a place to live. She walked around town, looking for apartment buildings with "for rent" signs. Most of the apartments were too expensive for Maya. She only had $97 now, and she needed to save money for food. Finally, she found a very small studio apartment above a laundry shop. The rent was $200 a month, but the owner said Maya could pay week by week. Maya paid $50 for her first week and got the key to her new home. The apartment was tiny and old, with just one room, a small bathroom, and a tiny kitchen. But it was clean and it was hers. That night, Maya slept on the floor because she had no bed. But she felt safer than she had the night before. She had a job, a place to live, and hope for the future. It would not be easy, but Maya was determined to build a better life for herself. Maya's new life was harder than anything she had ever experienced. Every morning, she woke up at 5 o'clock on the hard floor of her tiny apartment. She had bought a thin blanket from a thrift store, but she still had no bed, no pillow, and no furniture except for one old chair she found on the street. Maya would wash her face with cold water and put on one of her 3 shirts. She had to be at Sonny's diner by 6 in the morning to help Frank prepare for the breakfast rush. Maya walked to work every day because she could not afford to take the bus. At the diner, Maya worked as hard as she could. She cleaned tables, washed dishes, took orders, and swept floors. Frank was a kind boss who saw how hard Maya was trying. He let her eat one meal at the diner each day, which helped Maya save money on food. "You are a good worker, Maya," Frank told her after her first week. "I am glad you came here." Maya was grateful for Frank's kindness, but her life was still very difficult. After working at the diner from 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, Maya would walk to her second job at Clean All Office Services. There, she cleaned office buildings from 3 in the afternoon until 11 at night. The office job was lonely work. Maya would clean empty offices, bathrooms, and hallways while everyone else was at home with their families. Her supervisor, Mrs. Clark, was not as nice as Frank. She would check Maya's work and complain if she found even a small piece of dust. "This desk is not clean enough," Mrs. Clark would say. "Do it again." Maya would clean the desk again even. Though it was already perfectly clean, between her 2 jobs, Maya worked 15 hours every day. She was always tired, and her feet hurt from standing and walking so much. But Maya never complained, because she needed both jobs to pay for her apartment and food. Maya's biggest worry was finishing high school. She had missed many days of school since she started working, and her teachers were starting to notice. Maya would fall asleep in class because she was so tired from working all night. "Maya, you need to stay awake in my class," her history teacher, Mr. Brown, said one day. "Your grades are going down and graduation is only 2 months away." Maya wanted to explain why she was so tired, but she felt embarrassed. She did not want her teachers to know that she was homeless and working 2 jobs just to survive. "I am sorry, Mr. Brown," Maya said. "I will try harder." That night, after cleaning offices until 11 o'clock, Maya went home and tried to do her homework. But she was so tired that she could barely keep her eyes open. She fell asleep at her tiny table with her books still open. Maya's life became a difficult routine. Work, school, work, homework, sleep for 3 hours, then start again. She lost weight because she could not afford to eat enough food. Her clothes became loose on her thin body, and she always looked tired. Sometimes Maya felt like giving up. She would sit in her empty apartment and cry, missing her parents and wishing her life was different. But then she would remember her father's words about being strong and smart, and she would force herself to keep going. One day at school, Maya's English teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, asked her to stay after class. Maya was worried that she was in trouble for falling asleep again. "Maya, I have noticed that you seem very tired lately," Mrs. Rodriguez said with a concerned voice. "Is everything okay at home?" Maya did not know what to say. Mrs. Rodriguez had always been kind to her, but Maya was afraid to tell the truth. "I am fine," Maya said quietly. "Just busy with work." "Work?" Mrs. Rodriguez asked. "What kind of work?" Maya realized she had said too much. "I have a part-time job," she said. Mrs. Rodriguez looked at Maya's thin face and tired eyes. "Maya, if you need help with anything, please let me know. There are programs that can help students who are having difficult times." Maya nodded but did not say anything else. She was too proud to ask for help, and she was afraid that people would feel sorry for her. As the weeks passed, Maya's life got a little bit easier. She learned how to do her jobs faster, which gave her more time to study. Frank at the diner started giving her extra hours on weekends, which meant more money. Maya was able to buy a used mattress from a thrift store, so she finally had a real place to sleep. Maya also found a third job working on weekends. She would babysit for families in the neighborhood, taking care of children while their parents went out. Maya liked this job because the children reminded her of happier times with her own parents. One family, the Johnsons, had a little girl named Lucy who was 7 years old. Lucy was sweet and funny, and she liked when Maya would read her stories. Before bedtime, "Maya, will you be my big sister?" Lucy asked one night. Maya felt tears in her eyes. "I would like that very much," she said. Mrs. Johnson noticed how good Maya was with Lucy. "You are wonderful with children," she told Maya. "Have you ever thought about working with kids as a career?" Maya had never thought about what she wanted to do after high school. She was too busy just trying to survive each day. But Mrs. Johnson's words made her think about the future. "I do not know what I want to do yet," Maya said honestly. "You should think about going to college," Mrs. Johnson said. "You are smart and kind. You could do anything you want." College seemed impossible to Maya. She could barely afford to eat, so how could she pay for college? But the idea stayed in her mind. Maya started going to the public library after work to learn about college. She read about scholarships and financial aid programs. She learned that there were ways for poor students to get help paying for school. Maya began to dream about a different life. Maybe she could go to college and get a good job. Maybe she could have a real home and enough money to buy food and clothes. Maybe she could help other people who were struggling like she was. 3 weeks before graduation, Maya made a decision. She would apply to the community college for the fall semester. She would work during the day and take classes at night. It would be hard, but Maya had learned that she was stronger than she ever knew. Maya filled out the college application forms at the library. She wrote an essay about her life and her dreams for the future. She applied for every scholarship she could find. On graduation day, Maya sat in the audience wearing a cap and gown that the school had lent her. She had no family there to watch her graduate, but Frank from the diner came to support her. Mrs. Rodriguez and Mrs. Johnson were also there, cheering for Maya when her name was called. As Maya walked across the stage to get her diploma, she thought about how far she had come. A year ago, she was living in Victoria's basement, doing chores and being treated badly. Now she was a high school graduate with 3 jobs and her own apartment. Maya knew her life was still hard. She was still poor, still working long hours, and still eating only 1 real meal a day. But she also knew that she had something Victoria could never take away from her: hope and determination. That night, Maya sat in her small apartment and looked at her high school diploma. She had done something that seemed impossible just a few months before. She had survived being thrown out with no money or help, and she had still finished school. Maya made a promise to herself that night. She would keep working hard and never give up on her dreams. She would go to college no matter how difficult it was. She would build a better life for herself, and someday she would help other people who were struggling just like she was. Maya did not know that her life was about to change in ways she could never imagine. She did not know that in just a few weeks she would meet someone who would believe in her and give her chances she had never dreamed possible. All Maya knew was that she would keep fighting for her future, one day at a time. 3 months after graduation, Maya had settled into a new routine. She still worked at Sonny's diner during the day and cleaned offices at night, but now she also attended classes at the community college 3 evenings a week. Maya was studying business, hoping it would help her get a better job someday. College was harder than Maya had expected. She was often tired during classes because she worked so many hours, but she was determined to succeed. Maya received some financial aid, but she still had to pay for books and supplies herself. This meant she had even less money for food and other things she needed on a cold Tuesday evening in October. Maya was rushing from her business class to her night job at the office building. It had been raining all day and the streets were wet and slippery. Maya was carrying her heavy backpack full of textbooks and trying to balance her umbrella at the same time. Maya was thinking about the test she had to take next week when she heard a loud crash behind her. She turned around and saw that a car had hit a tree on the side of the road. The car was damaged and steam was coming from the front of it. Most people walking by looked at the accident but kept walking. Maya stopped and looked more carefully. She could see that someone was still inside the car, and they did not seem to be moving much. Maya did not think about her own safety or the fact that she would be late for work. She ran toward the car, dropping her umbrella on the ground. The rain soaked through her thin jacket as she reached the driver's side window. Inside the car was an older man, probably in his 60s. He was wearing an expensive-looking suit, but his head was bleeding and he looked confused and scared. The man was trying to move, but his seatbelt was stuck. Maya knocked on the window. "Sir, are you okay?" She called out loudly. The man looked at her with unfocused eyes. I cannot get out," he said weakly. "My head hurts." Maya tried to open the car door, but it was jammed shut from the impact. She could smell gasoline and was worried that the car might catch fire. Maya knew she had to get the man out quickly. "Stay calm, sir," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady even though she was scared. "I am going to help you." Maya ran around to the passenger side of the car. That door was not as damaged, and she was able to open it with some effort. She climbed into the passenger seat and reached over to help the man with his seatbelt. "What is your name?" Maya asked as she worked to free him. She had learned in a first aid class that it was important to keep injured people awake and talking. "Alexander," the man said slowly. "Alexander Reed, I think. I hit my head." "Okay, Mr. Reed," Maya said. "I am Maya. I'm going to help." "You get out of here? Can you move your arms and legs?" Alexander tried to move and nodded. "Yes, I think so, but I feel dizzy." Maya finally got the seatbelt unbuckled. She helped Alexander move carefully toward the passenger side of the car. He was much bigger than Maya, and it was hard for her to support his weight, but she was determined to get him to safety. "We need to get away from the car," Maya said. "Can you walk a little bit?" Alexander leaned on Maya as they moved away from the damaged car. Maya helped him sit down on a nearby bench, even though they were both getting soaked by the rain. Maya took off her jacket and put it around Alexander's shoulders, even though it meant she would be even colder. "Someone needs to call an ambulance," Maya said, looking around for help. She did not have a cell phone because she could not afford one. A woman walking her dog saw them and came over. "I saw the accident," she said. "I already called 911. They should be here soon." Maya stayed with Alexander while they waited for the ambulance. She could see that he was hurt and scared, but she tried to keep him calm by talking to him. "Tell me about yourself, Mr. Reed," Maya said. "What do you do for work?" I run a company," Alexander said slowly. "Reed Enterprises. We help people. We give money to good causes." He was having trouble speaking clearly because of his head injury. "That sounds like important work," Maya said. "You help people. That is very good." Alexander looked at Maya with clearer eyes for a moment. "You help me," he said. "You could have just walked by like everyone else, but you stopped to help a stranger." Maya felt embarrassed by his words. "Anyone would have done the same thing," she said. "No," Alexander said firmly, even though his voice was weak. "Not everyone would have stopped. Not everyone would have risked their own safety to help someone they do not know." The ambulance arrived a few minutes later, along with a police car and a fire truck. The paramedics quickly checked Alexander's injuries and decided he needed to go to the hospital. He had a concussion and some cuts on his face. but nothing life-threatening. As the paramedics prepared to put Alexander on a stretcher, he reached into his jacket pocket with shaky hands. He pulled out a business card and pressed it into Maya's hand. "Thank you," he said, looking directly into Maya's eyes. "You may have saved my life tonight. If you ever need anything at all, please call me." Maya looked down at the business card. It was thick and expensive looking, with gold letters that said, Alexander Reed, Chief Executive Officer, Reed Enterprises. There was a phone number and an address in the nicest part of the city. "I do not need anything, Mr. Reed," Maya said. "I am just glad you are okay." "Keep the card anyway," Alexander said, as the paramedics started to wheel him toward the ambulance. "Promise me you will keep it." Maya nodded and put the card in her pocket. She watched as the ambulance drove away. With Alexander inside, the police asked Maya a few questions about what she had seen, and then everyone left. Maya stood alone on the sidewalk, soaking wet and shivering. She had lost her umbrella, and her jacket was gone too because she had given it to Alexander. She looked at her watch and realized she was already 30 minutes late for her night job. Maya ran the rest of the way to the office. Building where she worked, Mrs. Clark was waiting for her with an angry expression on her face. "You are late, Maya," Mrs. Clark said coldly. "This is not acceptable. You know we have rules about being on time." Maya tried to explain what had happened. "I am sorry, Mrs. Clark. There was a car accident and I had to help someone who was hurt." Mrs. Clark looked at Maya's wet clothes and messy hair. "I do not want to hear excuses," she said. "If you cannot be reliable, then maybe this job is not right for you." Maya felt her heart sink. She needed this job desperately. "Please, Mrs. Clark, this will not happen again." "I promise I will always be on time," Mrs. Clark thought for a moment. "This is your only warning," she said finally. "If you are late again, you are fired." Maya worked extra hard that night to show Mrs. Clark that she was a good employee. She cleaned every office perfectly and stayed an hour later than usual to make up for being late. When Maya finally got home at 1 in the morning, she was exhausted. She sat on her mattress and pulled Alexander's business card out of her wet pocket. The card was a little damaged from the rain, but she could still read it clearly. Maya wondered about Alexander Reed and his company. She had never heard of Reed Enterprises, but the business card looked very professional and expensive. Maya thought about what Alexander had said about helping people and giving money to good causes. Maya put the business card on her small table and tried to forget about it. She did not want to bother Alexander, especially when he was hurt and recovering in the hospital. Maya had helped him because it was the right thing to do, not because she wanted anything in return, but as Maya lay down to sleep, she could not stop thinking about the kindness in Alexander's eyes when he thanked her. Most people in Maya's life had treated her badly or ignored her completely. But Alexander had looked at her like she was important, like what she had done really mattered. Maya fell asleep thinking about Alexander's words. He had said that not everyone would have stopped to help. Maya had never thought of herself as special or brave. She had just done what felt right. Maya did not know that this one act of kindness would change her entire life. She did not know that Alexander Reed was one of the richest and most powerful men in the city, or that he never forgot the people who showed him true kindness. All Maya knew was that she had helped someone who needed help, and that felt good. It was the first time in a long time that Maya felt proud of herself for something other than just surviving another day. 1 week passed after the car accident, and Maya did not think much about Alexander Reed. She was too busy with her daily routine of work, school, and trying to survive on very little money. Maya had kept his business card on her table, but she had no plans to call him. Maya was working the breakfast shift at Sonny's Diner on a Thursday morning when Frank called her over to the phone. "Maya, someone is asking for you," Frank said with a curious look on his face. "Says his name is Mr. Reed." Maya felt surprised and a little nervous. She had not expected Alexander to call her, especially at her work. Maya wiped her hands on her apron and took the phone. "Hello?" Maya said quietly. "Maya, this is Alexander Reed," came a warm voice on the other end. I hope you remember me from last week." "Of course I remember you, Mr. Reed," Maya said. "How are you feeling? Are you okay?" "I am much better, thank you," Alexander said. "The doctors say I have no serious problems, just some bruises and a mild concussion. But Maya, I have been thinking about you every day since the accident. I would like to meet with you to thank you properly for what you did." Maya felt uncomfortable. She was not used to people wanting to thank her or spend time with her. "You do not need to thank me, Mr. Reed. I am just glad you are safe." "Please," Alexander said, "it would mean a lot to me. Could you come to my office tomorrow afternoon?" "I promise I will not take much of your time." Maya hesitated. She had never been to a fancy office building before, and she was worried about taking time off from work. But something in Alexander's voice made her feel like this was important to him. "I suppose I could come for a few minutes," Maya said. "Wonderful," Alexander said. He gave Maya the address of his office building and told her to ask for him at the front desk. "Come any time after 2 o'clock. I will be waiting for you." After Maya hung up the phone, Frank looked at her with raised eyebrows. "Who was that?" he asked. "Just someone I helped last week," Maya said, not wanting to explain the whole story. The next day, Maya asked Mrs. Clark if she could start her office cleaning job an hour later than usual. Mrs. Clark was not happy about it, but she agreed since Maya had been working extra hard all week. Maya had never been to the downtown business district before. She took 2 buses to get there, which cost her $4 she could not really afford to spend. When Maya saw Alexander's office building, she felt very small and out of place. The building was 40 stories tall and made of glass and steel. People in expensive suits were walking in and out of the front doors, talking on cell phones and carrying leather briefcases. Maya looked down at her own clothes, her cleanest pair of jeans and a shirt she had bought at a thrift store, and felt embarrassed. Maya walked into the lobby and was amazed by what she saw. The ceiling was very high, with beautiful lights hanging down. The floor was made of shiny marble, and there were expensive-looking paintings on the walls. Maya had never seen anything so fancy in her life. A security guard at the front desk looked at Maya suspiciously. She did not look like the kind of person who usually visited this building. "Can I help you?" the guard asked in a not very friendly voice. "I am here to see Mr. Alexander Reed," Maya said quietly. "He asked me to come." The guard looked surprised. "Mr. Reed? Are you sure?" Maya nodded and gave the guard her name. The guard made a phone call, and his expression changed completely. He suddenly became very polite and helpful. "Mr. Reed will see you right away," the guard said. "Take the elevator to the 40th floor. His assistant will be waiting for you." Maya rode the elevator up to the top floor, watching the numbers change on the wall. She had never been so high up in a building before. When the doors opened, Maya saw a beautiful office area with thick carpets and more expensive furniture. A well-dressed woman came over to Maya with a smile. "You must be Maya," she said. "I am Sarah, Mr. Reed's assistant. He has been looking forward to meeting with you." Sarah led Maya down a hallway to a large office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Maya could see the entire city spread out below. She had never seen such an amazing view. Alexander Reed stood up from behind a huge wooden desk when Maya walked in. He looked much better than he had the night of the accident. His head injury was healing, and he was wearing another expensive suit. "Maya," Alexander said with a genuine smile, "thank you so much for coming. Please sit down." Maya sat in a comfortable leather chair across from Alexander's desk. She felt very nervous and out of place in such a fancy office. "How are you feeling, Mr. Reed?" Maya asked. "I'm doing very well, thanks to you," Alexander said. "Maya, I have been thinking a lot about what happened that night. You risked your own safety to help a complete stranger. In today's world, that is very rare." Maya did not know what to say. She had never thought of what she did as being special or rare. Alexander continued. "I did some research about you, Maya. I hope you do not mind. I learned that you work very hard at multiple jobs while also going to school. I learned that you live alone and take care of yourself completely. I am very impressed by your strength and determination. Maya felt surprised and a little worried. You researched me? I wanted to understand more about the person who helped me, Alexander explained. Maya, I have a business proposal for you. I would like to offer you a job working as my personal assistant. Maya's eyes grew wide. A job? But Mr. Ridd, I do not have any experience working in an office like this. I just clean offices and work in a diner. Experience can be taught, Alexander said. But character and integrity cannot be taught. You have both of those qualities, and they are more important to me than experience. Alexander explained what the job would involve. Maya would help him with his schedule, answer phones, organize meetings, and assist with his charity work. The job would pay $15 an hour, which was almost twice what Maya made at her other jobs combined. I cannot accept this, Maya said, shaking her head. You are offering me this job because you feel grateful for what I did. But I do not deserve such a good opportunity. Alexander leaned forward in his chair. Maya, do you think I got to where I am by making bad business decisions? Do you think I would offer an important job to someone just because I felt grateful? Maya thought about his question but did not answer. I am offering you this job because I believe you have the qualities I need in an assistant, Alexander continued. You are honest, hardworking, and caring. You make good decisions under pressure. Those are exactly the qualities I am looking for. Maya felt overwhelmed. The job would change her entire life. She would make enough money to afford better food and maybe even save some money. She could reduce her work hours and focus more on her college classes, but Maya was also scared. What if she was not good enough for such an important job? What if she made mistakes and disappointed Alexander? I need time to think about it, Maya said finally. Of course, Alexander said. Take all the time you need. But Maya, I want you to know that I believe in you. I think you are capable of much more than you realize. Alexander gave Maya his direct phone number and told her to call him when she made her decision. As Maya left the office building, her head was spinning with thoughts and emotions. Maya rode the bus home thinking about Alexander's offer. She thought about how different her life could be if she took the job. She also thought about how scared she was of failing. That night, Maya could not sleep. She lay on her mattress looking at the business card with Alexander's phone number on it. Maya thought about her parents and what they would want her to do. She thought about her dreams of having a better life. Maya also thought about Alexander himself. He seemed like a genuinely kind person who really wanted to help her. Maya had spent so many years with people who treated her badly that she had almost forgotten what it felt like to have someone believe in her. The next morning, Maya made her decision. She called Alexander from the phone at Sonny's diner. Mr. Reed, Maya said when he answered, I have thought about your offer. If you really think I can do the job, then I would like to accept it. Maya, that is wonderful news, Alexander said, and Maya could hear the happiness in his voice. Can you start on Monday? Maya felt excited and terrified at the same time. Yes, sir, I can start on Monday. After Maya hung up the phone, she realized that her life was about to change in ways she had never imagined. She would have to quit her other jobs and trust that this new opportunity would work out. Maya had learned to survive by being careful and not taking risks. But something about Alexander made her feel like she could trust him. Maybe it was time to stop just surviving and start really living. Maya did not know it yet. But accepting Alexander's job offer was the first step toward a future she had never dared to dream about. Maya's first day working for Alexander Reed was both exciting and terrifying. She woke up extra early on Monday morning to make sure she looked as professional as possible. Maya had bought one nice blouse and a pair of dress pants with some of her last dollars, hoping they would be appropriate for an office job. When Maya arrived at the Reed Enterprises building, Sarah, the assistant, was waiting to show her around and explain her new duties. Maya would have her own small office next to Alexander's, with a computer, telephone, and everything she needed to do her work. Do not worry about learning everything at once, Sarah said kindly. Mr. Reed is very patient, and I will help you with anything you do not understand. Alexander greeted Maya warmly when she arrived at his office. Maya, welcome to Reed Enterprises. I am so glad you decided to join us. Maya felt nervous but determined to do well. "Thank you for giving me this chance, Mr. Reed. I promise I will work very hard." Alexander spent the morning teaching Maya about his business. Reed Enterprises was a large company that owned many smaller businesses, but Alexander was most passionate about the charitable foundation he had started. The Reed Foundation gave money to schools, hospitals, and programs that helped poor families. "This is the work that means the most to me," Alexander explained as he showed Maya files about different charity projects. "Making money is important for business, but helping people is what makes life meaningful." Maya listened carefully and took notes about everything Alexander told her. She was amazed to learn how many people the Reed Foundation helped every year. They paid for scholarships for poor students, bought medical equipment for hospitals, and supported programs that fed hungry families. Maya's first tasks were simple ones. She answered Alexander's phone, scheduled his meetings, and organized his files. Maya was surprised to discover that she was good at office work. She learned quickly how to use the computer and telephone system. Alexander was patient and encouraging when Maya made small mistakes. "You are doing very well," he told her. At the end of her first week, "I can already see that hiring you was the right decision." Maya was grateful for Alexander's kindness, but she was still adjusting to her new life. She was making more money than ever before, but she was also working in a world she did not understand. The other employees at Reed Enterprises were all college graduates who wore expensive clothes and talked about things Maya had never heard of. Maya felt like she did not belong, but she was determined to learn and improve. She spent her lunch breaks reading business magazines and learning about Alexander's company. She also continued taking classes at the community college in the evenings. After a month of working for Alexander, Maya began to feel more confident. She had learned how to handle most of her daily tasks without help, and Alexander started giving her more important responsibilities. One day, Alexander asked Maya to help him with a special project. The Reed Foundation was planning to give scholarships to 20 high school students who could not afford to go to college. Alexander wanted Maya to help him review the scholarship applications. "I would like your opinion on these applications," Alexander said. "You understand what it is like to struggle financially, so you might see things that I would miss." Maya was honored that Alexander valued her opinion on something so important. She read through dozens of applications from students who reminded her of herself, young people who were working hard despite difficult circumstances. One application particularly touched Maya's heart. It was from a 17-year-old girl named Jessica, whose parents had died in an accident. Jessica was living with relatives who did not treat her well, and she was working part-time jobs to save money for college. "This girl reminds me of my own story," Maya told Alexander. "She has been through so much, but she is still fighting for her dreams." Alexander read Jessica's application and agreed that she should receive one of the scholarships. "Maya, your insights are very valuable," he said. "You help me understand these young people in a way I could not on my own." Working on the scholarship project made Maya realize how much she enjoyed helping other people. She started to understand why Alexander was so passionate about his charitable work. As the months passed, Maya's relationship with Alexander grew stronger. He was not just her boss, he was becoming like a father figure to her. Alexander would ask about her college classes and encourage her to pursue her education. "Maya, you are very intelligent," Alexander told her one day. "Have you ever thought about getting a 4-year degree instead of just taking community college classes?" Maya had thought about it, but it seemed impossible. "I cannot afford to go to a university, Mr. Reed. Community college is all I can manage." Right now, Alexander looked at Maya thoughtfully. "What if I told you that the Reed Foundation has a program that helps employees go to college? We would pay for your tuition and books, and you could take classes while continuing to work here?" Maya could not believe what she was hearing. "You would do that for me?" Maya, investing in good people is always a smart business decision," Alexander said with a smile. "But more than that, I believe in you. I think you have the potential to do amazing things if you get the right education and opportunities." Maya felt tears coming to her eyes. No one had ever believed in her the way Alexander did. For so many years, people had told Maya she was not good enough or smart enough. But Alexander saw potential in her that she was just beginning to see in herself. "I would love to go to a 4-year university," Maya said, "but are you sure I am worth such a big investment?" "Maya, you saved my life," Alexander said seriously. "But even more than that, you have proven yourself to be honest, hardworking, and compassionate. Those qualities are rare and valuable. I would be honored to help you get the education you deserve." Maya enrolled at the state university the following semester, majoring in business administration. She continued working for Alexander part-time while taking a full course load. It was challenging to balance work and school, but Maya had never been happier. Alexander took a personal interest in Maya's education. He would ask about her classes and help her understand complex business concepts. Sometimes he would invite Maya to sit in on important business meetings so she could learn by watching and listening. "Education is not just about what you learn in books," Alexander told Maya. "Real business experience is just as important as classroom learning." Maya's confidence grew as she succeeded in her university classes. She discovered that she had a natural talent for understanding business and finance. Her professors were impressed by her maturity and work ethic. One of Maya's professors, Dr. Martinez, pulled her aside after class one day. "Maya, you are one of the most dedicated students I have ever taught. Your life experience gives you insights that other students do not have. Have you thought about what you want to do after graduation?" Maya had been thinking about her future more and more. Working with Alexander had shown her how business could be used to help people and make the world better. "I think I would like to work in nonprofit management," Maya told Dr. Martinez. "I want to help organizations that assist people who are struggling like I used to struggle." Dr. Martinez smiled. "That sounds like a perfect career path for you. You have the business skills and the personal experience to make a real difference." As Maya's second year of university began, Alexander started giving her even more responsibility at Reed Enterprises. She was now managing some of the foundation's smaller projects and had her own budget to work with. Maya was particularly proud of a program she had designed to help teenagers who were aging out of the foster care system. The program provided job training, housing assistance, and mentorship to young people who had nowhere else to turn. "This program is brilliant, Maya," Alexander said when she presented her proposal to him. "You understand these young people because you have walked in their shoes. This could help hundreds of teenagers build better lives for themselves." Maya felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing that her work was helping other people avoid some of the struggles she had faced. She was no longer just surviving, she was building a meaningful career and making a difference in the world. Alexander watched Maya's growth with pride and satisfaction. He had taken a chance on a young woman who was cleaning tables in a diner, and she had exceeded all his expectations. Maya was becoming the confident, capable leader he had always believed she could be. "Maya," Alexander said one day as they reviewed the Foundation's annual report together, "do you realize how far you have come? 2 years ago, you were working 3 jobs just to survive. Now you are running charity programs and studying for your business degree. I am very proud of you." Maya looked at Alexander with gratitude and affection. "I could never have done any of this without your help and support. You changed my entire life." "No, Maya," Alexander said with a gentle smile. "You changed your own life. I just gave you an opportunity. You did all the hard work to get where you are today." Maya realized that Alexander was right. She had worked hard for everything she had achieved, but she also knew that having someone believe in her had made all the difference. Alexander had not just given her a job, he had given her hope and the chance to discover what she was truly capable of accomplishing. 3 years had passed since Maya first started working for Alexander Reed, and her life had transformed in ways she never could have imagined. Maya was now in her final year of university, studying for her business degree while working as the assistant director of programs at the Reed Foundation. Maya had her own office, her own team of 3 employees, and was responsible for managing several important charity programs. She had grown from a scared, hungry teenager into a confident, capable young woman who was respected throughout the organization. On a sunny spring morning, Maya was reviewing applications for a new program she had created called Second Chances. The program helped young adults who had been homeless or in foster care get job training and find stable employment. It was Maya's proudest achievement because it addressed problems she understood deeply. Alexander knocked on Maya's office door and came in with a big smile on his face. "Maya, I have some wonderful news," he said, sitting down across from her desk. "What is it, Mr. Reed?" Maya asked, looking up from her paperwork. "I just received a call from the mayor's office," Alexander said excitedly. "They want to give you an award for your work with homeless youth. The Second Chances program has helped over 200 young people find jobs and housing in the past year. The city wants to recognize you as Young Professional of the Year." Maya felt shocked and honored. "Me? Are you sure they do not mean to give the award to you?" Alexander laughed. "Maya, this program was your idea and you have managed it brilliantly. You deserve all the recognition for its success." Maya still sometimes had trouble believing that she was worthy of praise and recognition. Even after all her success, part of her still felt like the scared, rejected girl who had been thrown out by her stepmother. "I could not have done any of this without your support and guidance," Maya said to Alexander. "That may be true," Alexander replied, "but you have grown far beyond needing my guidance. Maya, you have become a leader in your own right. It is time for you to start thinking about your next steps." Maya knew what Alexander meant. She was about to graduate from university, and she would need to decide what to do with her career. Alexander had hinted several times that there might be bigger opportunities for her at Reed Enterprises, but Maya had her own dreams she was starting to consider. A few weeks later, Maya was working late in her office when she received an unexpected phone call. The woman on the phone introduced herself as Mrs. Patterson from the State Department of Social Services. "Miss Chun," Mrs. Patterson said, "I have been following your work with the Reed Foundation, particularly your programs for disadvantaged youth. I would like to meet with you about a possible opportunity." Maya agreed to meet with Mrs. Patterson the following week. When they met for lunch, Mrs. Patterson explained that the state was looking for someone to run a new statewide program for aging out foster youth. The position would involve managing a budget of $5 million and coordinating services across the entire state. Mrs. Patterson explained, "We need someone who understands the challenges these young people face and who has proven they can create effective programs." Your name came up immediately when we discussed candidates. Maya was flattered but also nervous about such a big responsibility. "That sounds like an amazing opportunity, but I am still finishing my degree. I will not graduate for another 3 months." "We can wait for the right person," Mrs. Patterson said. "Maya, these young people need someone who truly understands their struggles. Your personal experience, combined with your professional skills, makes you uniquely qualified for this position." Maya told Mrs. Patterson she would consider the offer and let her know her decision soon. As Maya walked back to her office, her mind was spinning with possibilities and concerns. That evening, Maya stayed late to talk with Alexander about the job offer. She explained everything Mrs. Patterson had told her about the position. Alexander listened carefully and then smiled proudly. "Maya, this is exactly the kind of opportunity I've been hoping would come your way. Running a statewide program would be a huge step forward in your career." But it would mean leaving Reed Enterprises," Maya said sadly. "It would mean leaving you and everything that has become my family here." Alexander's expression became very gentle and fatherly. "Maya, do you remember what I told you when I first hired you? I said I believed you were capable of much more than you realized. This job offer proves that I was right." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "I am scared, Mr. Reed. What if I am not ready for such a big responsibility? What if I fail?" Alexander stood up and walked around his desk to sit next to Maya. "Maya, let me tell you something. 5 years ago, you were sleeping on park benches and working 3 jobs just to survive. Now you are being offered a position to help thousands of young people across the entire state. If that is not proof that you can handle any challenge, I do not know what is. Alexander continued, Maya, you have taught me as much as I have taught you. Your compassion, your determination, and your understanding of what it means to struggle have made our programs more effective and more meaningful. Now it is time for you to take that wisdom and use it to help even more people. Maya knew that. Alexander was right, but leaving still felt scary. Reed Enterprises had become her home, and Alexander had become the father she had always needed. What if I take the job and then realize I made a mistake? Maya asked. Alexander smiled. Then you will learn from that experience and try something else. Maya, success is not about never making mistakes. Success is about having the courage to try new things and learn from whatever happens. 2 weeks later, Maya made her decision. She accepted the position with the State Department of Social Services with the understanding that she would start. After her university graduation, when Maya announced her decision to her team at the Reed Foundation, everyone was supportive and excited for her. They organized a farewell party and presented her with a beautiful plaque thanking her for her service. At the party, Alexander gave a speech about Maya's time at Reed Enterprises. 5 years ago, I met a young woman who risked her own safety to help a stranger, he said. I offered her a job because I saw something special in her character. Today, that same young woman is leaving us to take on one of the most important jobs in our state's social services system. Alexander paused and looked directly at Maya. Maya has proven that with hard work, determination, and the right opportunities, anyone can overcome their circumstances and achieve great things. She is living proof that investing in good people is always the right choice. Maya felt overwhelmed with gratitude as she listened to Alexander's words. She thought about how different her life might have been if she had not stopped to help him that rainy night 5 years ago. But Maya also realized that Alexander was right about one thing. She had done the hard work herself. She had studied, learned, grown, and pushed herself to become better every day. Alexander had given her opportunities, but Maya had seized those opportunities and made the most of them. A few days before Maya's last day at Reed Enterprises, she had a final private conversation with Alexander in his office. Mr. Reed, Maya said, I want you to know that you saved my life just as much as I saved yours that night. You gave me hope when I had none, and you believed in me when no one else did. Alexander shook his head. Maya, I did not save your life. You saved your own life through your courage, determination, and refusal to give up. I was just lucky enough to be able to help you along the way. Alexander reached into his desk drawer and pulled out an envelope. Maya, I have something for you, he said, handing her the envelope. Inside the envelope was a check for $50,000 and a letter. Maya's eyes grew wide when she saw the amount of the check. Mr. Reed, I cannot accept this, Maya said. Read the letter first, Alexander said gently. Maya opened the letter and read Alexander's handwritten words. Dear Maya, this money is not a gift, it is an investment. I want you to use it to start your own nonprofit organization someday when you are ready to take that step. I believe that you will eventually want to create your own programs and help people in your own way. When that time comes, this money will give you the freedom to follow your dreams. You have already proven that you can change lives. Now I want you to have the resources to change even more lives in the future. With love and respect, Alexander. Maya felt tears streaming down her face as she finished reading the letter. Mr. Reed, this is too much. I do not deserve such generosity. Maya, Alexander said firmly, you are like the daughter I never had. Everything I have done for you, I have done because I love you and believe in you. Promise me that you will use this money to help other people who are struggling like you once struggled. Maya hugged Alexander tightly. I promise, she whispered. And I promise that I will make you proud. You already have, Alexander replied. You already have. As Maya left Reed Enterprises for the last time, she felt sad to be leaving but excited about her future. She had learned that with hard work, determination, and people who believe in you, it was possible to overcome any obstacle and achieve dreams that once seemed impossible. Maya was ready to start the next chapter of her life, and she was determined to use everything she. 2 years had passed since Maya started her position as director of the State Foster Youth Transition Program. At 25 years old, Maya had become one of the youngest department directors in the state's history, and her program was being recognized as a model for other states to follow. Maya's program had helped over 3,000 young people transition out of foster care with job training, housing assistance, and educational support. The success rate was higher than anyone had expected, and Maya's work was being featured in national magazines and conferences. On a crisp autumn morning, Maya was sitting in her large office reviewing plans for expanding her program to reach even more young people. She had a team of 15 employees working under her direction, and they had just received funding to double the size of their program. Maya's assistant knocked on her door and entered with a smile. "Maya, there is someone here to see you. He says his name is Alexander Reed, and he does not have an appointment, but he insists you will want to see him." Maya's face lit up with joy. She had not seen Alexander in person for several months, though they talked on the phone regularly and he kept up with all her professional achievements. "Send him in immediately," Maya said. Standing up from her desk, Alexander walked into Maya's office looking proud and happy. He was now in his early 70s and his hair was completely gray, but his eyes were still bright and full of energy. "Maya," Alexander said, opening his arms for a hug. "Look at this beautiful office. Look at what you have accomplished." Maya hugged Alexander tightly. "Alexander, what are you doing here? You did not tell me you were coming to visit." "I wanted to surprise you," Alexander said, looking around Maya's office with obvious pride. "And I have some news to share with you." They sat down together on the comfortable couch in Maya's office, just like they used to do when Maya worked. "For him, what kind of news?" Maya asked curiously. Alexander smiled and pulled out a newspaper from his briefcase. "Have you seen today's paper?" Maya looked at the front page of the state newspaper and gasped. There was a large photograph of her, along with a headline that read, "Local woman named National Foster Care Advocate of the Year." "Maya, you have been selected to receive the highest honor given to people who work with foster children," Alexander explained. "The award ceremony will be in Washington, D.C. next month, and the president himself will present you with the award." Maya stared at the newspaper in disbelief. "This cannot be real," she whispered. "It is very real," Alexander said. "Maya, your work is helping young people all across the country. Other states are copying your programs, and thousands of children are getting better help because of what you created." Maya felt overwhelmed with emotion. She thought about all the young people she had been able to help, and how different their lives might be because someone had given them a second chance. "Alexander," Maya said, "do you remember what you told me about investing in good people? You invested in me when I had nothing to offer except a willingness to work hard. Now I get to invest in other young people the same way." Alexander nodded with satisfaction. "Maya, that is exactly what I'd hoped would happen. You have taken what you learned and used it to help others. That is the best kind of success." Maya stood up and walked to her window, looking out at the city below. "Alexander, I've been thinking about something lately. I want to start my own organization, just like you suggested in your letter. I want to create a place where homeless and foster youth can get all the help they need in one location: job training, housing, counseling, education support, everything." Alexander's eyes lit up with excitement. "That sounds like a wonderful idea. Have you started making plans?" Maya turned back to Alexander with a determined expression. "I have been working on a business plan for months. I want to call it the Second Chance Center. It would be a place where young people could live temporarily while they get job training and save money for their own apartments." Maya walked to her desk and pulled out a thick folder full of papers. "I have researched everything: the costs, the location, the staff we would need, the programs we would offer. I think we could help 500 young people every year." Alexander looked through Maya's business plan and was amazed by how detailed and professional it was. "Maya, this is brilliant. You have thought of everything. How much money would you need to get started?" About $2 million, Maya said. I know that sounds like a lot, but I have some ideas about how to raise the money. One could apply for government grants, ask for donations from businesses, and maybe organize fundraising events. Alexander set down the business plan and looked at Maya seriously. Maya, what if I told you that I want to be your first major donor? Maya felt her heart start beating faster. What do you mean? I mean that I want to give you the $2 million you need to start the Second Chance Center, Alexander said. Calmly, Maya's mouth fell open in shock. Alexander, that is an enormous amount of money. I cannot ask you to do that. You are not asking me, Alexander said with a smile. I am offering. Maya, I am 72 years old and I have more money than I could ever spend. But more important than that, I know that giving you this money is the best investment I could possibly make. Alexander continued, Maya, you have proven that you can take a small opportunity and turn it into something amazing. Imagine what you could do with the resources to create your own organization from the beginning. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. Alexander, I do not know what to say. This is more than I ever dreamed possible. Say that you will build the Second Chance Center and help as many young people as you can, Alexander replied. Say that you will continue to prove that everyone deserves a chance to succeed, no matter where they started in life. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of a beautiful new building with a sign that read, The Second Chance Center, founded by Maya Chun. The building had dormitory rooms for 50 young people, classrooms for job training, offices for counselors, and a large kitchen where residents could learn cooking skills. Alexander was there for the grand opening ceremony, along with Maya's team from the state program, several government officials, and many of the young people Maya had helped over the years. As Maya cut the ribbon to officially open the Second Chance Center, she thought about her incredible journey. 10 years ago, she had been a homeless teenager with no family and no hope. Now, she was the founder and director of an organization that would help thousands of young people build better lives. After the ceremony, Maya and Alexander walked through the building together, looking at all the rooms and facilities that would soon be filled with young people working toward their dreams. Maya, Alexander said, as they stood in the main lobby, do you remember what you said to me the night of the accident? You said that anyone would have stopped to help, Maya laughed. I remember, and you told me that was not true. I was right. Alexander said, not everyone would have stopped. But you did stop, and that one act of kindness changed both of our lives forever. Maya looked around at the beautiful center she had created. Alexander, I used to think that my life started the day I met you. But now I realize that my life really started the day I decided to stop just surviving and start believing that I could build something better. Alexander smiled with deep satisfaction. Maya, you have become everything I hoped you would become, and so much more. You are proof that one person's kindness can change the world. 1 year later, Maya received another surprise that would complete her journey in the most unexpected way. She was working late at the Second Chance Center when her assistant told her that someone was asking to speak with her urgently. A young woman about 19 years old was standing in the lobby, looking nervous and hopeful. She had long dark hair and was carrying a small suitcase. Are you Maya Chun? The young woman asked. Yes, I am, Maya replied. How can I help you? The young woman took a deep breath. My name is Jennifer, and I heard about your program on the news. I aged out of foster care 6 months ago, and I've been living in my car. I do not have anywhere else to go, and I was hoping maybe you could help me. Maya felt her heart fill with compassion as she looked at Jennifer. She saw herself 10 years ago, scared, alone, and desperate for someone to give her a chance. Jennifer, Maya said gently, you have come to the right place. We are going to help you get back on your feet and build the life you want. As Maya showed Jennifer around the Second Chance Center and explained all the programs they offered, she felt a deep sense of completion. She had gone from being the person who needed help to being the person who could provide help to others. That evening, Maya called Alexander to tell him about Jennifer and the many other young people who had found new hope at the Second Chance Center. In our first year, we have helped 230 young people, Maya told Alexander proudly. 85% of them have found stable jobs and 92% have moved into their own apartments. Maya, those numbers are incredible, Alexander said. But I know the real success is not in the statistics. The real success is in the lives you have changed. Alexander was right. Maya thought about Jennifer, who was now enrolled in nursing school and working part-time at a local hospital. She thought about Marcus,